All right, let's dive in. Today we're exploring how to be a fantastic mentee. We've got excerpts from this paper, The Mentee's Journey, Embracing Mentorship in the Modern Corporate World. And it's really insightful. It focuses on the corporate side, but a lot of what it says applies no matter what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. It's really interesting how it flips the whole mentorship thing on its head. We always hear about what mentors should do, right? But this is all about the mentee side, which is so important.
Exactly. And the big point it makes is that being a mentee, it's not passive. It's not just showing up. It's about actively taking charge, both in the relationship and your own growth.
Right? It makes you think. When a mentee is engaged, proactive, it makes the mentor want to give more too. It becomes a real two-way street.
Totally. So let's unpack some of this. The paper talks about this idea of psychological safety, and this is where it gets good. It's about being vulnerable with your mentor, admitting when you don't get something, asking those questions you're kind of scared to ask.
Yeah, like admitting you don't know something. Creating that space where you can be honest about your weaknesses.
Yeah.
That's huge for growth.
Totally. The paper gives this example of I think she was a marketing professional, and she was terrified to tell her mentor she missed a big target. But when she finally did, the mentor, they didn't judge her, they turned it into a teaching moment, which is so cool.
Right. And it's about, like, not seeing feedback as a bad thing, but as a chance to grow. It talks a lot about emotional intelligence in mentorship, too.
Oh, yeah. So not just what you say, but how you say it. Managing emotions, listening well, not getting all defensive when you get feedback.
Exactly, all those things. And another big takeaway is that competence matters. Like, it's not the mentor's job to spoon feed you, you know?
You've got to show initiative, be learning, and working on those skills.
Right. And the paper actually says, take the initiative in learning. Don't wait to be told what to do. Go figure it out,
Right. Go out and learn.
which then makes the mentorship better for everyone. The mentor can focus on bigger stuff when they know you've got the basics.
I love that. And it kind of leads into this next point, which really hit home for me. The paper talks about how sometimes mentors need to be firm, like pushing you out of your comfort zone. And it's not bad, it's setting expectations.
Like a coach pushing an athlete, right?
Mhm.
It might suck at the time, but it's good for you in the end.
Exactly. And it gives examples. Direct feedback, tough assignments, deadlines you gotta hit.
That firmness, when it's done right, it's a sign of respect.
Yeah.
Right. They see your potential.
It's like they're saying, I believe in you, so I'm gonna push you.
Right. And the paper also really encourages mentees to respect those boundaries the mentor sets. It shows you're reliable, you're accountable.
And it talks a lot about listening, of course. But it goes deeper than that. It's about applying the advice too. There's this example about a mentee struggling with time management, and their mentor suggests time blocking. But the mentee doesn't just say, okay. They research it, they try different methods, they figure out what works for them.
Yeah, that's active, right? It's turning advice into action.
And this is where it gets into modern mentorship, which is fascinating. It's all about adapting to how fast the workplace is changing.
Right. Things are so different now. That old one mentor forever thing might not work anymore.
Yeah, it makes you think about how you build your mentorship. Like, it's this evolving thing.
Exactly. And tech plays a big role, right? Like online courses, virtual mentoring, even connecting on social media. That can all be valuable.
Yeah. And something I thought was cool, how it encourages you to get diverse perspectives. Don't just stick with one mentor. Find people from different backgrounds, different industries.
That's a great point, yeah. Like building a whole network of mentors who can give you different insights.
And speaking of different perspectives, it made me think about reciprocation, like how the paper says mentorship isn't just one way.
A lot of people forget that. It's not just about taking, you got to give back too.
For sure. So how does a mentee actually give back? Like, what does that look like?
It starts simple, right? Expressing gratitude, letting them know you appreciate their time. But it can be more than that.
Yeah. Early in my career, I had this mentor, and he gave me advice on dealing with a tough client. I used it, and it worked. I told him, hey, your advice really helped me there. He was so happy.
Exactly. Sharing your successes, how you use their advice, that's huge. And don't be afraid to share failures too.
Oh, absolutely. Those are learning moments too, right?
Yeah.
Talking them through with your mentor is so helpful.
And sometimes you might have skills or connections that could actually help them.
Oh, that's interesting. Like introducing them to someone, helping on a project, even sharing some resource they might not know about.
Right. It's those win-wins where you're both growing,
Mm.
which brings up another thing the paper mentions. Humility.
Humility. Oh, man, that's so key in mentorship, isn't it? Knowing you've got a lot to learn, that they're taking time out of their busy day for you.
You're not entitled to their time, right?
Yeah.
The paper's big on that. Opportunities are earned, not given.
It's a good reminder, especially when you're just starting out.
And even the most successful people, your mentor included, they were once mentees too. They get it, and they want to help you figure it out.
One thing that stuck with me was the paper's emphasis on being disciplined, like in your work, setting those high standards for yourself.
Yeah, it's not about being perfect, but aiming for excellence, always pushing yourself.
It's that growth mindset, right? Seeing challenges as a chance to learn, not something to avoid.
Reminds me of this project I had. Things kept changing. I was so lost. My mentor didn't solve it for me, but she helped me break it down, stay focused. It was hard, but I learned so much.
That's where their guidance is so valuable, right? They help you set realistic expectations, break things down, and support you.
Totally. And they can keep you grounded. Ambition's great, but it's got to be realistic.
And that makes me think about what the paper says about resilience, adapting, especially in this fast-paced world.
Right. Being able to deal with setbacks, learn from mistakes, adjust when you need to. Things don't always go right, and that's okay.
It's like those tough tasks your mentor gives you are training for that.
Exactly. It's a chance to prove you can handle things, that you can adapt.
Yeah.
And when those tough things come, remember to have a positive attitude. Ask for help if you need it, but try to solve it yourself too.
I think we've all been there, but the paper warns about procrastination, getting complacent. Easy to get comfortable or put things off, but that's not how you grow, right?
You got to be proactive, show you're really committed to learning, not just going through the motions.
That means taking ownership, managing your time, going above and beyond.
Planning and communication, huge too. The paper's big on regular check-ins, sharing progress, being open to feedback.
And even just using a to-do list or something, that can make a difference. Shows you're organized, you take things seriously.
Being proactive, not reactive, right?
Mhm.
Anticipating needs, offering solutions, taking initiative.
Less about waiting to be told, more about finding ways to add value, you know? Volunteering for things, suggesting improvements, stepping up when there's a challenge.
And that brings us back to that two-way street. Finding those ways to give back, showing appreciation.
Like sharing successes, failures, even offering support where you can. Yeah, it's about valuing that relationship, right? Showing you're serious about it.
For sure. And it goes back to that humility thing, right?
Yeah.
Not expecting things to be handed to you, going in wanting to learn.
So stepping back, looking at this whole paper, it really paints a picture of what a great mentee is like, especially these days.
Hmm.
Someone proactive, self-aware, always learning, and ready to contribute.
Someone who doesn't shy away from challenges, who sees feedback as a good thing, and who gets that mentorship goes both ways.
It really makes the point that the mentee has a responsibility too, to make the relationship work, put in the effort, be respectful of the mentor's time, and be active in their own development.
And that's empowering, isn't it? That means you're not just along for the ride. You're shaping your own growth.
Like it's a journey, right?
Yeah.
Your mentor is the guide, but you're the one driving.
And like any journey, there'll be bumps, detours, maybe some wrong turns. That's where resilience comes in, being able to adapt.
Having the, what's the word, tenacity to keep going when it's tough and knowing when to change course.
And it's okay to ask for help. Your mentor is there for that, to guide you through the rough patches.
Oh, for sure. But it's also about finding that balance, asking for help versus figuring things out on your own, knowing when to push yourself and when to say, okay, I need some guidance here.
So as we wrap up, the question for all of us is, thinking about our own mentorships, what's one small thing we can do to be even better?
Maybe it's communicating more, setting clearer goals for ourselves, finding ways to give back more concretely.
Or maybe just saying thank you more often, letting them know we appreciate them, you know?
Whatever it is, take some time to think about what we've talked about. Go back to those key takeaways from the paper. Maybe even talk to your mentor about how you can both get even more out of this.
Because really, mentorship is about growth, learning from each other, and that positive impact it creates beyond just the two people involved.
And who knows, maybe one day you'll be the mentor, passing on what you've learned, guiding someone else along their way.
That's the beauty of it, right? It keeps going.
Absolutely. All right, that's it for this deep dive. Until next time.